to. Talk with me about that, because if so, I might need.
He said you'll have to talk to this cousin.
Well, I know, because he's not going to help you with paint and stuff. I mean, let me check with my wife. I can probably come in Saturday morning. I don't know if I can be here the whole time, but I can probably come in.
And it's my dad's birthday on Saturday, so I have to like still want him.
Yeah, then I wouldn't come in if I was you.
He said come over at 4:30.
Okay. All right. So, first things first, we need to get back in the habit of checking homework because, guys, again, I'm not looking for, like, could you do it right the first time you looked at it, like, without much practice, but you do want to try to end up at the right answer, even if you need help. So, we're going to check 511, but if you couldn't solve a problem or have a wrong answer, you should either try to fix it or ask me a question. What you should not do is space out and just stare at the wall while we're doing this. Because, guys, your 511 should be done. If your 511 is not done, that's absurd. You've had it since Monday. Like, grow up, do your job. When you get an assignment, do it. If everyone turns in 511 tomorrow, y'all get candy. If even one of you doesn't turn it in, nobody gets candy. So here's my offer. If you want to mess it up for the whole class, go ahead and don't do your homework. If you'd like the whole class to get a reward just for doing what you're supposed to do, turn in 511 tomorrow. Or turn it in today after we check it, because if it's done, you can turn it in today if you would like. So the percent bar that we have here in 5.9, guys, the bottom is percentages, but they forgot to write the percent down here, so you might need to like put that in. But the bottom is our percentages. It's broken up into 10 pieces. So we know 10%, 50%. If 144, look at my work up there. If 144 is 40%, here I see some people that thought that was 50%. If 144 is 40%, I can use that to get back to what 10% is. Because in our Desmos activity, finding the 10% is a really good strategy because, like, say you go out to dinner and you're going to tip. Most people tip 20%. If you find 10%, double that, right? If you want to figure out 5%, if you found 10%, cut that in half, and now you got 5%. 10% is really useful. So if we go from 144 and 40%, 10% is 36, meaning this 20% for A would be 72. Questions? Just a stretch. Okay. So this section is bracketing 2 of these, and each of those is 10%. So what we see down here is 10%. This is 50%. But if we look at just 20% from here to here, that would be 72 because we had found this. We found that from using this relationship. 144 is 40%, and doing this sort of work, right? Which is why I've written it up here and left it up here for a while. I break it down to 10%, and once I know 10%, really what we know is every single one of these is 36. Does that make sense? Where is it falling apart? Because this is a little tricky, but I need to know like what I need to explain better. So on top is supposed to be the actual values. So you put 20, you put the percentage there. Percentages we want to put on bottom. We want to put the actual quantity on top. So you're not like wrong. You just put the percent instead of the top is supposed to be like our actual numbers. So like the thing we're working with, say it's dollars or candy or pizza or dogs or like whatever that is not the percent. It's the actual thing we're talking about. So maybe it's like M&Ms, right? I have a container of M&Ms, and we could figure out 100% if we wanted to. Guys, if 36 is 10%, what's 100%? 360, because we multiply by 10. So if I have a container of M&Ms that has 360 M&Ms in it, what is 20% of that container? Because you wrote 20, because this is 20%. Like if I did this down here, that would be 20%. But how many M&Ms would it be? 72. We're going to practice more of this. Don't worry. It'll start making more sense, especially after today and the work that we do today. So similarly, I drew a line down here for part 10, or question 10. I drew a 100% bar. And it says to create a drawing, so if you don't have a drawing, you might want to. And then since they ask us how much is in the tank now, we got to do a little subtraction. Or sorry, how many more gallons is where we have to do the subtraction. The tank can hold 80, right? This should help make sense of like the top is the actual values and the bottom is the percent. So if the tank can hold 80 gallons, which Mrs. Denai's big tank, the big one, that's a 30 gallon, I believe, depending on how tall it is. The little one's a 10-gallon tank. So imagine an 80-gallon tank is pretty big. So if it currently is 55% full, we can say, okay, 55%, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 55. Well, guys, if 80 gallons, let's practice this 10% rule. And you can write this on your paper. If 80 gallons is 100%, how many gallons is 10%?
10.
Divide by 10,
Oh.
so it's 8. Our 10% is 8 gallons, because if I know 80 is 100%, divide by 10. 10% is a really good reference point. Questions? Great.
I have a question, but I got the same answer for both of them. But the way I did it, instead of going by 10%, I did it by going up by 12.5% every time.
To get to 55? Because 12.5 would then go to 25, and then up to 50.
Then I went 20, it went to 25, 37 and a half, and 50.
But we need 55%. Did you get the same answers? Yeah, then you're good. It's just you just did the proportion differently. I think you made it tougher than you needed to, though. Because guys, if 10% is 8 gallons, how much is 5%? 4. So if 10% is 8 gallons, we can go backwards, divide by 2, and we get 5% is 4 gallons.
Why would it be $44 in there? Because shouldn't it be 45?
Because every 10% is 8, right? So 50% is 40. Then another 5% is another 4 gallons. That's why we looked at the 5%. See?
So I got the same answer to everything, but I was like, if it's like the right way, can I use the label 1 and label 2 thing?
Did you do percent on top and gallons on
Yeah,
bottom?
top, yeah.
That's fine. You can do it that way. Just with the bar, how we're working.
Yeah.
Like that one and this one, it makes us feel like percent should be on bottom. But you can put percent on top if you want.
Oh, I put on percent.
Yeah, then you're good. Fine.
I use, it says on the paper to use like a drawing, like the one above. I use like a different type of model.
I meant like this, but it's okay if you did something different.
But
I mean,
I
your
use
brain
an
is your
actual
brain.
tank,
Oh, that's
like
fine.
a rectangle.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Can I grab my sheet because I accidentally put 50% instead of.
Why'd you turn it in already? We're
Oh.
checking the answers.
Sorry.
You turn it in after class.
Thanks.
All right, moving on. Giant one work where you don't have to use the giant one. If you want to draw the arrows instead, draw the arrows instead. Emery?
I'm just doing the one up there. You don't need to scroll up. Like, I totally understand this concept, but like, I didn't write the little tick marks. But I know, like, I know the 10%.
You didn't have to have every single tick mark. It's fine.
Well, I didn't make any tick marks at all.
Did you create any drawing?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Well, as long as you have some kind of drawing so I can look at like what your brain is thinking. I
Okay.
just want to see how you represent the situation. Reagan.
For C and D, I'm kind of confused because on B, I'm confused if you got the 16 or the 15.
Wait, on B? Like B as in boy?
Yeah.
Okay, you're confused about what?
Because I got 36 for the top of the 60.
It is
I
36.
know, but I'm confused with the 16 or the 15.
16. This is a 15. this, I did not know what to multiply by. So since I didn't know what to multiply by, I divided to figure it out, and I got 4. Sorry, it's a little tough to see, so I was writing in like pink or purple or whatever, and just didn't show up very well.
Was that the same for C?
Yeah, because I didn't know what to multiply by, so I did a division to figure it out. Does that make sense? If we don't know what to multiply by, you guys, this is being recorded. Hi, YouTube. If this doesn't make sense and you need to hear it again, go back and watch the video. Bethany.
I got confused on how it's multiplying on
In D?
D.
Yeah,
It's
because D's
multiplying
getting
to get a
smaller.
lower
So
number.
if we don't know what to multiply by, but I'm going to tell myself the teacher says it's multiplication. It's always multiplication. Yeah, it could be division, but that's just kind of makes it tougher. If I don't know what to multiply by, do the division. And when we did the division, we get 0.6. So what we're multiplying by is 0.6 as we go across, and that's how we get 26.4. If you don't know what to multiply by, do the division. Emery.
I got like when I did it, I did 100 divided by 60.
Nope, you did your division in the wrong direction. Because you got to divide it backwards.
I know, but like the teacher,
Do not lean back because that could have been a concussion. Literally.
the teacher's always like, you always have to have the bigger number.
No. Your elementary teachers told you crap that isn't true. I'm sorry. It just happens because they're tricks that they want you to like. For this unit, always the bigger number had like that crap wasn't true. I'm sorry. Like I really am. But Scouts Honor, like I'm an Eagle Scout guy. I don't even know if we talked about that this year at all. I'm an Eagle Scout. Scouts Honor. I'm being honest with you guys. I teach you the real math. I don't lie to you because it makes my life easier. That's garbage. I'm sorry that happened to you. Division doesn't care what number's on top. It's all what are we doing. There's no rule about the bigger number has to be on top. That's a lie.
Okay.
Well, you get different answers though if it's one.
I know because there's only one right way to do it. You're right. You get different answers. One's right, one's wrong.
But
What we're doing
I know.
is trying to figure out how to multiply and get smaller. The only way to do that is using a number that's less than 1. Moving on, because guys, nobody came to get help from me. And that's the crazy thing. I do not understand how there ends up being so many questions when no one came to get help from me. You have AO, you have extensions. That's why we build that time into our day. If this stuff isn't making sense to you, come get help.
Well, what if like you don't have time? Like during AO, I'm working on other stuff and I'm never
Text
here
me.
for extension.
Email me, find some other time, come into school early in the morning like I've been offering, come into school on Saturday, so I'm probably going to try to come in for figure it out. You've had this since Monday. I guarantee you could have found time. You've had this since Monday.
Okay.
So that's sometimes where you might have to use your AO to go talk to the teacher instead of doing that thing that's on map, and you might have to do that thing that's on map at home. If you need to get teacher help, do that during school.
Can you scroll down a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Any questions on the dollars per hour? That's literally this. That is this right here. Just figure out what to do. Well, to get to 1 hour, you could say it's multiplication, but what else could you say here? Divide. How do you get to 1?
4.
Divide by the number we have, so we divide by 40.
Oh.
That's how we can get to 1 hour. Common denominators. Adding and subtracting fractions requires common denominators. Emery.
So for 512, sorry, I know that's up there. I got like 45.36.
You did something. You divided by 10 instead of dividing by 40.
So I can't divide by 10.
You could divide by 10, but then you've got the amount he makes in 4 hours. And then you have to do another division to get down to the 1 hour. You
Okay.
can divide by 10 first, but then you still have to do another division. Great.
C, I went there 27, 1 and 7.
1 and 7/15. That's what this turns into. If you make it into
A
mixed.
and C are the same.
I mean, the answers are the same. Problems aren't the same. It's because the people who wrote this textbook think they're funny, and occasionally they're like, haha, we're going to make this the same as that.
Because like minus and negative turns into a plus anyway. So then it's like
Well, but 4/5, they move it to first, then 2/3. Okay, moving on. Let's look at, I think 512 has some examples from class on it, maybe.
Yeah.
Grab my copy.
Almost a full page.
So if your 511 is totally done, you may turn that in right now. And then you are good for the week. That's the only, look at the board. Like, look over at the homework board. I forgot to change that yesterday. But yeah, you get 2 days to do your homework. I'm not going to change that policy and mess with you guys. Like, it's the first week of, like, it's the first full week of the new year. I want you guys to be able to start strong.
So we only have 5 more.
Yeah. Yeah. Why are you? Would you like me to collect more?
No.
I never said that.
Who has ever gone shopping?
Me. I went.
Great.
I went to
So
last
this matters to you.
night. I went to
Who has ever been told, since you're probably not the one with the wallet full of money,
Oh,
who's
I
ever been told you gotta shop the sales, right? Or we're going to Target because there's a sale, or we're going to what? Like, you go places because of sale. So Marissa is doing just that. So we could read this. I mean, we're not going to, I think, because just for sake of time of actually getting to some math problems. So Marissa is shopping the sale. The sale's a pretty awesome sale. It's 40% off. So there's a certain percent left on, and this is what we're gonna like work on our paper here. So I want you to turn to your neighbor, grab a highlighter if you want to highlight important stuff, but start trying to figure out what is Marissa actually gonna pay for these jeans. A proportions fraction equal to 5. So I agree with you. Yes, we can show it, but we want to actually show how we get to percent. But this is not what we're doing right now. We're doing this.
Okay, so. Jeans are 40%.
Yeah, but that doesn't work as a proportional relationship. And everything we're doing right now is proportional. So you're right, those are good sales, but it's not proportional.
Okay, well, let's look at that. So, like, I think we need to do like 65.
That 10% technique might be real nice here. That 10% technique, I don't know that you do need a calculator. I mean, you can use one, but I don't know that you need it.
Okay, Bethany, so I'm thinking.
So I just need to investigate your pencil pouch for a moment.
What? What are you doing? That's for Miss Boss needed for the embroidery.
It's just, be careful just having money just shoving. It means everyone around here is fairly honest, but you never know.
Wait, can I go give it to her right now?
I mean, she's not teaching, right?
No.
She can teach.
It's awesome. She's like, figure it out. This is important.
You guys got this figured out? Can you be helping in any way or whatever? So why are you doing what you're doing? Yeah. Huh? Why are you dividing by something? I don't understand. Dividing by 40 is definitely not the right thing. That was you gotta check what you're writing down. Everything we're doing right now is proportional. Matt, what is our 100% here? Hey, we're going to bring it back together. I know you're probably not totally done, but I see some mistakes happening, so we need to pull it back together. What do the jeans cost? Like, yeah, if they're not on sale, Guys, if you were at all struggling to figure out how to start, write this down, because then you have it to look at when you go to do your homework. See, what I would have probably highlighted a little bit of is that the 65 is what they cost, and 40% off, and the bar kind of shows us that. Now, it might surprise you, I'm not going to go to 40% or 60%. What percent am I going to stop at first? Anybody? 10%, because this is a really good strategy. How do I go from 100% to 10%? Divide by 10. That's kind of easy. I think we should know that by now.
You said that word.
Sometimes I say bad words. I'll just be honest. So what is 10%? When we divide by 10, we just move the decimal. You don't need a calculator. You just move the decimal. Literally, that's what happens when you divide by 10. So now, if I want to get to 40%, how do I get to 40%? Guys, put the calculator down. What is 6 times 4? 24. What's 0.5 or a half of 4?
2.
So put those together. Now also, if you wanted to find the 60%, I don't know what color is it. We could find the 60%, but I would start back at 10. How do I go from 10 to 60? Multiply by 6. Like, I would always start back at your 10%. So I can take this and multiply by 6. 6 times 6 is 36 plus, so 39. So what we get up here for filling in this bar that you have on your paper that you want to fill in, she saves 26 from the original 65, meaning she's going to pay 39. Okay, guys, if you look at a percentage off, there's also a percentage on, right? So it was 40% off here, but it was 60% on, and that's really like what you end up paying, right? The percent on is what you're expected to pay. And then there would also be what that you have to pay? Tax. But we're not going to worry about that today. Actually, Ohio, a couple times a year, does tax-free weekend, where literally you can go shopping with no taxes. And that's a really, it's like normally around back to school time, there's a weekend where like they do not charge state sales tax.
Oh, that's nice.
All right, so I want you and your partners to look at this graph. If I was you, I would do a 10%. Is this on your paper?
No.
Ah, crap.
You told us to get graph paper out though.
Yeah, I'm just debating time now.
What?
Let's, even if you don't draw the whole bar and everything, let's at least write down, what do we know from this diagram? Say,
The max is $30.
the what?
Like the max is $30.
Say, give me a math. Max is not really a math word. $30 is how much percent?
Oh, 100.
Yeah, so guys, let's at least write down on our paper that $30 is 100% on graph paper, because we always have graph paper. Sorry, I can only fit so much stuff on the examples from class. What's a good percentage to stop off at first? 10. So let's find 10%.
Divide by 10.
What do we divide by 10? On top, what's that become?
3.
3.
What was that?
And wait, crap. They want us to find what percent? 20. Okay, well now that I have 10%, how do I get to 20%? And we get 6. Okay, sweet. Blank percent of 30 is 20. How could, hold on. They want us to land on 24. Like, is 24. How could I use the work I've already set up to figure out how do we land, what percent is 24? Sophia?
Would you like 50%?
We're trying to figure out the percent,
So like,
but we do know 24.
so like six times 40.
But why? You got to tell me the setup first. Where's 20? Where are you putting 24?
On top, because the money goes on top.
Yeah, the stuff that we're talking about goes on top. The percent goes on bottom. So, Sophia, you said we do what here?
Multiplication.
That's a times 4. So if we do times 4 here, what do we get? You guys, again, this is being recorded. If you need help on your homework, go watch the video. This is a good refresher for when you're like on your homework trying to figure out different stuff. This next one's a little interesting. I want to see if you and your partner can figure out these little things that it's asking. Now, the third one is up to you to like based on the diagram, but I bet you guys can figure out how this line is broken up. What percentage would fill in there? We need to figure out the total, right? The 100%. I'm going to give you guys like a minute or two to try this on your own before coming back together. So see what you can figure out here. I'm just going to color some stuff up here.
Okay, so I'm thinking like, so if we know that $18, well, if we get $3.10, $3 and 10%. And we gotta times it with our giant one. 6. So then 6 times 10, that's 60%. And then 6 times 3, that's 18.
As you are not practicing right now, you're making your homework harder.
So that
Selling
means
yourself short.
60%. Wait, what? 60%. Oh, blank. So
Okay with you not having a partner, but I like having a partner. I like talking.
60%.
I found out the
60%. Oh, you did? Yeah.
Oh, did you just say superset? Huh? You just like got a reaction out of my wife and I when we work out. Like a superset is where you don't take any breaks between. I hate supersets. Oh my! Ooh, you guys want me to brag about my wife for a minute? So my wife works out a lot, like more than me. Anyone want to guess? I don't work out very much at all. Anyone want to guess how much weight my wife lifted yesterday?
305.
Like total pounds, right? Because like if I lift 100 pounds twice, how many pounds did I lift? 200 pounds. Anyone want to guess how much weight she lifted yesterday?
1,000.
Like 5,000.
500.
Oh,
4,000.
600.
You only
Watch
do-
it be like
you
a
only
million.
really do
sets of like 5.
600?
28,000.
28,000?
She literally lifted 28,000 pounds yesterday
Dang.
between all of the workout that she did.
How
Yeah.
is that?
How does that happen? Multiple sets at so like guys, she's strong. Her squats, she's squatting 205 pounds. Leg press, she's pressing 225. She's strong. Look at her, you're like, holy cow! Like, she's just strong.
So like, we should.
All right, we need to get back on the math because I could brag about Chelsea for a while. All right, $18 is. I left my cards.
All your cards, Mr.
Ezekiel, what is $18 related to here?
75%.
Yeah, 75%. So then, Donna, what did you do with that next? Ooh. We divided by 3, and you got down to 25%. It's not 10%, but it is still a really nice checkpoint. So what'd you get on top? So each 25% is $6. How could we get Sam to 100%?
Multiply by 4.
Sam, your voice is all over the place today.
Sorry.
You're fine. You were thinking and other people said it.
20 times 4, yeah.
And then we get $24 is your 100%. Questions on what we did? What's the other one? So if we flip this around a little bit and say, so we're at the yeah, because I don't like them saying same sale because it's not the same percentage. So Kristen comes out of the store bragging to you. She got a shirt that was supposed to cost $50. She only paid $37.50. So what you wonder then is, what's that percent sale in that? So like, should I go in there? Is that a good sale? So what do we immediately know from this situation? If it originally cost $50, Sophie, what do we immediately know? 50 is the 100%. This one's on your paper. So $50 is our 100%. Sophia, what do you want to do next? Sure, 10% is always, even if we don't know if that's necessary here, might as well find 10% because it's not that difficult to find. How many dollars is 10% here? 5. You gonna write some stuff down, Sam?
Sorry. Yeah. We're doing 8, right?
Yeah, also, I don't know if you did this on your graph paper, but we did this whole problem.
Okay. Yeah.
You chose not to write things down. That's an interesting choice.
Alright.
Okay. But, Lane, what's the thing we're trying to figure out here? Nowhere does it ask me about 50%. And what'd she pay for the shirt? $37.50. $37.50. Would that go on top or bottom down here? So if we're trying to get to $37.50, if we don't know what to multiply by, divide. So grab a calculator, guys. What's 37.50 divided by 5? 7.5? What's 10 times 7.5? 75. Does that mean it's a 75% off sale?
Bro, that'd be awesome.
25%.
Ooh, that's the percent on, because that's what she paid. So how much is it off? It's 25% off, because that's the percent that was left on. Questions? I don't know, 25% still pretty good. Anything 20% or more gets my attention. Of like, all right, I'll look.
I know, but I hate it when they're
Yeah,
like,
okay, a $50 shirt, that's an expensive shirt. Like, I mean, buying this was like a fundraiser, and I think it was like $30, and I was like, come on, 30. But it was a fundraiser for the band, so they could buy like new uniforms and stuff.
but the thing is, like,
All right, have a great day, guys.
sale. You did it. Have you ever seen a sale where it's like big sale, like 20% off, and you're like, yes, and then you realize that like the
20%'s not that great.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
you realize that the shirt's still like $100.
Whenever, that is not right now. Yeah. Yeah, no, so, and that's also, you have to be, like, an aware consumer, right? Like, you gotta be an aware consumer.